Boykin, and Chairman of the Charleston County Council. We'd like to start tonight by having each of our council members introduce themselves along with our clerk, administrator, and attorney, starting with Mr. Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brantley Moody, Charleston County Council, District 7.
District 6.
Andrew Darby, all districts.
District 4.
Herb Sass, Charleston County District 1.
Kristen Salisbury, Clerk of Council.
Mr.
Bill Tootin, County Administrator.
Jenny Honeycutt, District 9.
Larry Kabrowski, District 2.
Teddy Pryor, District 5, TEDDIE.
Rob Worman, District 3.
All right, now we'll go into our public hearings.
The attorney.
Oh, Ms. Ham, sorry.
That's okay. Natalie Ham, County Attorney.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Now we'll go into our public hearings. Ms. Salisbury.
Yes, sir. Notice is hereby given that Charleston County Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, February 10th, 2026, regarding an ordinance authorizing the conveyance of real property totaling approximately .09 acres located at 3565 Dorchester Road, North Charleston, South Carolina, 29405.
And now we'll have a presentation from Mr. Wynn Carlisle.
Sorry, we have Anthony G. Bryant signed up to speak for 3565 Dorchester Road.
What are we on, Mr. Bryant?
Anthony G. Bryant, President A.G. Bryant Group, Inc. In light of the half-cent sales tax, in light of the 20% for public transportation, in light of the joint public hearings with the Public Service Commission regarding rate increases, all sales or transfers should really look at reflecting going into affordable housing. So whatever this transfer is going to be, if you're selling a piece of property and conveying the property, we hope that that is itemized in the general fund budget going into next year based upon the cost of living in the three counties. And so I'm deeply concerned in terms of your budget appropriations going forward, looking at the cost of living and disparities are so great in three counties. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And then Charleston County Council will hold a public hearing on ACP 1225-00126 and CLDR 1225-00135.
Do we have anyone signed up for that?
Mr. Carlisle is going to make his presentation now.
Good evening, council members. So this comprehensive plan amendment and CLDR text amendment request is for 2388 Ashley River Road in the St. Andrews area. In 1985, the subject property was zoned neighborhood commercial. In 2015, the Ashley River Road corridor overlay zoning district was created, and the property was zoned neighborhood commercial in the village commercial area of the overlay. Village commercial area has a mix of medium to high intensity commercial development and is intended to be developed with less intense commercial development than the commercial core area. Here's the property location within the county as a whole. This is the current comprehensive plan map for the overlay. This is the ZLDR map for the overlay district and the ZLDR map for the village commercial area. The subject property is in the shaded X and AE11 flood zones. This is the aerial view to the north and to the south. The subject property has frontage along Ashley River Road and contains a warehouse-style building which contains a woodworking school and a car wash building that is not in use. The parcel across Ashley River Road contains a senior living complex and is in the City of Charleston jurisdiction. The adjacent parcels to the north contain a Dollar General store, a single-family residence, and are zoned NC. The adjacent parcel to the south is also NC and contains a single-family residence that is being developed into a church. This is a comparison of land uses between the current NC zoning and the requested CC zoning, with the uses in bold being allowed in CC but not NC. With CC, the density would go to 16 units per acre, up from 4 units per acre currently. These are the comprehensive plan amendment approval criteria, of which one needs to be met. The applicant chose criterion C, and this is his response. The staff recommendation is that due to the future land use of the property and with the implementation of the overlay district having the most intense commercial area be the commercial core area, with the village commercial area intended for less intense commercial development, the criteria may not have been met. Therefore, staff recommends disapproval. The ZLDR text amendment must meet all 3 criteria. This is the applicant response to criterion A, and criterion B, and criterion C. The staff recommendation is that if the comprehensive plan amendment is approved, then we recommend approval of the ZLDR text amendment. At the meeting on January 12th, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the amendment requests. For the Planning Commission meeting, 1 comment in opposition and no comments in support were received. For tonight's public hearing, 1 comment in support and no comments in opposition were received. And these requests were noticed as required.
All right, we have 3 people signed up. The first person's Anthony G. Bryant, and then Walt Sprouse, and then Sam Sprouse.
As a former BZA member from 99 to 2006, I'm always troubled by overlay districts. And however staff goes, or however you go, as we go forward, the overlay districts must, in my opinion, before we bring forward the half-cent sales tax, the general public, an audit, a performance audit of all overlay districts from 2000 to 2024. Why? These overlay districts have encroached upon a lot of people's property. And by cities have been able to use overlay districts and unincorporated areas to squeeze people out of their land. And so therefore, I'm deeply concerned even with downtown Charleston, with its overlay districts, they've done this overall comprehensive plan in Morrison Drive, where I live downtown. So I'm deeply concerned about county council not doing its job as a council to evaluate past overlay districts and going forward to half-cent sales tax. Thank you.
Walt Sprouse.
Good evening. I'm Walter Sprouse. I'm here to speak obviously in favor of this with the applicant for the rezoning. One of the things that we did mention before the Planning Commission was the fact that in our particular overlay district, there are 86 properties. And if you looked at that map just a second ago, you noticed there were a lot of little red parcels in there. All those red parcels, out of the 86 districts, 79 of them are zoned community commercial, which is what we're asking for. So that's one thing that we're wanting to do, is to make sure that, number one, we're consistent with the rest of our neighbors in the overlay district. Currently, the woodworking school is located in the back of the property. This has been going on for about 10 years, I guess. We're training people in really fine woodworking, and I think the woodworking school has created probably close to 30 or 35 small businesses from the graduates from the Charleston Woodworking School. But in the front of the property is an old car wash. We've had that thing, and I hope that every single one of you have driven by there to take a look at that thing, because it is an eyesore. And our goal is to have this property rezoned so we can do something with it. This is some of the plans of what we intend to do with the piece of property once it gets rezoned. We've had some trouble in the past with people stealing all the wiring out of it and things. So what we want to do is to make sure that we have something that we can be proud of, and something that all of you can be proud of, that whenever you drive down Ashley River Road, you'll be able to say, well, this was a good thing that we did. We rezoned it. It gave them the opportunity to do something with this piece of property and to create more businesses and to create more jobs.
Sam Sprouse.
Good evening. My name is Sam Sprouse. I'm the owner and principal instructor at the Charleston Woodworking School. Whenever you drive past a property, like my dad said, it looks pretty bad from the front. We want to fix that. Having this zoning change to community commercial will definitely help in what we can have down there. We don't want to do anything crazy. I know that in CC there's stuff like a shooting range. We don't want anything like that. You know, what we're looking for are professional offices, or maybe a place for one of my former students to rent space down there to start a business. So that's why we want to get this zoning changed. So thank you for your time and consideration.
That's it.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to our special finance committee meeting.
Sorry, we do have public comments.
Oh,
though.
sorry. Okay.
We have 14 people signed up for public comments. The first person is Anthony G. Bryant, followed by Richard Habersham and Myra Richardson.
We want to be pretty serious about opposition in this council chamber. You don't control the sheriff. You don't control the coroner. You don't control the solicitor. And so they get fundraising dollars from developers, people with money. And they can make an inquiry to the coroner, can make an inquiry on behalf of people you don't know. A friend of mine, Jim Parker, wrote for the Post and Courier. A friend of mine wrote on me in the 1990s, 2000 metrification. Jim had Alzheimer's. At 7 o'clock on Friday, I looked in on Facebook, say on Saturday. At 9 o'clock that Friday, I had a phone call about Jim, my dear friend Jim Parker. Not knowing that Jim Parker was found dead in Mount Pleasant in the woods. The coroner called me January 12th regarding my concern of cause of death in our community from 1982 to 2026, and my concern for the wrongful accusation by and large of people who couldn't have any defense, and many people I know who didn't have the luxuries of life I had with my two parents. And so my deeper concerns with this forensic center is any for innocence. You have a friend in 3 counties. You got, but there's no innocence in it in the mission statement. We're spending money for a forensic center, and by and large, like the black folk, because the president called us a bunch of animals. We want to make sure that that we not treated like animals for 2 years. And so what I want to do is give you this document that she gave me, the coroner. Who gives her money? Who gives her? The developer gives her money to call me? Who gives her money? If you get money as an elected official, you can be induced to make phone calls for them to undermine a person's constitutional rights. I come here all the time. So here's this information to give to the solicitor and others. Who can pick this up for me so I can get out of here? All right, so y'all have a nice one. And also call PAC, too. PAC with the Dominion Energy Corporation, Teddy. Get them a call on my behalf. Have a nice one. Take care of yourself.
Richard Habersham, Myra Richardson, Chris Newhart.
Good evening, everybody. Let me give y'all a belated Happy New Year, since it's the first time I've seen council since the year come in. Tonight I'm here to talk about the Greenbelt program. Since it was created, I think the program was very successful, not just for my community, but a lot of the settlement community. Like, you got Hamlin, Rabe Top, 10 Mile, Beefield, 4 Mile. We all benefited from this program, even though we didn't have a large quantity of property that was acquired, but it made a big difference to our community. What it did is slow down some of the development, and it kept property within the community where you had open areas for the kids in the community can play and could use. The only problem I got with the Greenbelt is that y'all didn't fund and put enough money in the pot for the unincorporated areas. Even though like my community, we are in Mount Pleasant, one of the highest cost area in this area. So the property value is higher, and the cost of this property is something else. But I think that when y'all come back and get the money for Greenbelt, put a little bit more money in the unincorporated areas. And in my last statement, the last thing that we got from Philip was the Rutledge Tomb. A little small piece of property, 2,300 square feet. But that made a big difference. What it did is save a part of history for Charleston County. And, and not just Charleston County, for the state and everything else. So it made a difference. And thank you.
Myra Richardson, Chris Newhard, Kali Farah.
Good day. My name is Myra Snipe Richardson. I'm the president of the Hamlin Beach community. I'm here to talk about Greenbelt funding. The Hamlin Beach community thanks this county council for approving the Coakley Chapel Park. How important it is to preserve and protect these properties for flood mitigation and to have a place for the community to have a green space. These things are coming up in our communities, and it's very important to fund the Greenbelt and have a substantial amount of money in there for Greenbelt space, also for conservation and easements. Hamlin Beach right now is located next to acreage, hundreds of acres of land. If those lands are developed, we will be underwater. In fact, the whole area of a rifle range road will be underwater. So we're asking that you please fund this part of it, that it will continue to protect us. I spoke with Mr. Sass, Mr. Larry, and also Tinky. There was an incident where a deer was killed on the side of Rifle Range Road, and it sat there in front of a retired, disabled, 90-year-old veteran. We called for 3 days to have this deer removed. No agency was available to come in and pick it up. Those are the things that are going to continue to happen to put us in danger and put the wildlife in danger if these lands are developed and not saved for our community, for us to enjoy, not just in the community, for the general public. And I know it's hard to say spending taxpayers' money on private and easements, but it takes it away from being developed. And those areas are so very important to help us protect our areas, protect the wildlife, and help us to have a better way of life in our community. So please, fund these programs that we are able to save our land and protect our properties. Thank you.
Chris Newhard, Kali Farah, Charlton Brownwell.
And speaking of public funding, you guys keep insisting that the undeniable genocide of an entire people by Elbit systems is necessary for our prosperity, that Charleston must remain open for business. Let me tell you what kind of business partner Elbit is. First off, Elbit Systems had all of their contracts suspended pending an investigation by NATO procurement offices and several arrest warrants for their subcontractors. They recently lost a $2.7 billion contract with the UK after shutting down their facilities in Boston and Raleigh. You want them to have 300 full-time workers by the time their contract is renewed? They don't even have parking space for 300 workers. And I've never seen more than 80 cars exit that facility. And moreover, when the Ocean Gladiator, a ship, sends over 1,300 tons of ordnance to Greece, it's a little suspicious when they suddenly turn off this transponder, reappear off the coast of Israel, and never sees a single inch of Hellenic shore. Genocide does not pay, and neither does defending it. سجل أنا أمريكي من مدينة شارلستون وتاريخنا العنصرية والاحتلال عشان ذلك أعتقد ما أحكي اللغة العربية كتير كل شيء مش لأنتم هذا للفلسطينيين عشان تاريخنا العنصرية والاحتلال معلوماتهم بقلوب وكمان المدفع يشتغل هنا يشتغلوا هنا وكلنا نتقاوم ضدهم. سجل مدينة المقدسة إلى مدينة المقدسة كلنا ضد العنصرية. And if you would like a translation, I would love 30 minutes to explain. Sorry, not 30 minutes, 3 seconds.
Kali Farah, Charlton Brownell, Stephanie Ondo.
Good evening, council members. It's been a little while, so I hope everyone's doing well. Kali Farah with the Conservancy of the Sea Islands. First off, just want to thank each of you for your commitment to conservation over the years. Each of you have been a part of some really meaningful and impactful projects. This is another opportunity for this council to strengthen their commitment to conservation by adequately funding the Greenbelt program for the future. Greenbelt project and conservation benefits everybody, every single person in Charleston, the state of South Carolina here. So its funding should adequately represent that. A good reminder of the value that Greenbelt has is sometimes to reflect on past successes. And so I would ask each of you, should have received an email from me as well, but if you have a pen and paper there on your phone, just take down, it's very easy, it's slfa-habitat.com. That was Lewis Anderson's conservation easement that y'all funded last cycle on Johns Island. Y'all's Greenbelt approval is what allowed him to be able to develop this website and offer his property back out to the community and so forth. And so just please take a minute to review that and see the successes that y'all have helped bring to Charleston County. Thank you.
Charlton Brownell, Stephanie Ando, Katie Zimmerman.
Good evening, council members and everyone else. I'm Charlton Brownell with Charleston Climate Coalition. I just want to open my comments by thanking y'all for letting us speak here this evening, as well as for the transparency of this process. I'd like to talk a little bit about the transportation sales tax. So first of all, I just want to say that we support the Greenbelt program. I think the percentage should be higher than 15, and we stand with all those in this room and everywhere else who work to preserve the Low Country's natural landscapes, as well as our native flora, fauna, and of course our carbon sinks. But I do want to primarily speak on transit. I'd like to thank you all for your vision and judgment in increasing the transit allocation to 20% last week, as transit is a safer, cleaner, and cheaper form of transport, and it's an important piece of the traffic congestion puzzle since it can pull cars off the road. We really want to support this. I want, come October, to be knocking on doors in favor of this referendum. I think it's almost there, but I would ask you to consider further raising the transit allocation to that which was requested by CARTA and to amounts that would be consistent with what they said they would need for significant enhancements. This would make the existing system more practical and would open up the possibility for new rapid transit routes, which would serve each of your districts. We also need more for bike ped. One way that I would propose to bump up both of these numbers would be to take the $75 million that has potentially been diverted from the battery extension and allocate half of that to bike ped on the peninsula and half of that to transit on the peninsula. Why downtown? From an ROI perspective, makes sense to invest these things in investing these things in the urban core, as we're not far from a situation in which the community is able to affordably and reliably move around downtown without needing a car. So I ask y'all to please take it all the way there. Let's finish that job. And again, I just want to emphasize that I do not think that these proposed increases should come from the Greenbelt Conservation Program, which we also support. Thank you very much.
Stephanie Ando, Katie Zimmerman, Jim Hiphill.
Good evening, Stephanie Ondo, 1671 Mulberry Street, Apartment B. I was heartened by some of the points that you all made at your last TST Finance Committee meeting. I won't try to weigh in on the virtues of CARTA versus Greenbelt, but I would like to tell you one incremental change that I want to see for CARTA. Increase bus stop frequency along the existing routes to something greater than once per hour, so that one missed bus or a bus that never comes doesn't have to mean a missed work shift or college class. So I have a 19-year-old college student who takes the bus between our home and West Ashley to classes downtown. Sometimes buses just don't arrive, and often there's no way to know if they're even coming at all. We love CARTA, but it's not as reliable as it could be. Council, please remember, that public transit is not just used by those with the greatest need. People generally have some options when it comes to their commute. For example, right now my car is on the fritz and I'm borrowing my husband's, and he's Ubering and taking CARTA to work and back. If this bus system is easy to understand and, more importantly, reliable, you'll find that even some dedicated car users may choose it sometimes. But the public really needs to see it working well and reliably to take that leap. And if this one incremental change, increasing stop frequency, helps take even one car off the road that would be running the red light my child crosses on Highway 17 every day, I feel that I've done my job here tonight. And with that, I actually have a train to catch this evening, so thank you all. Have a good night.
Katie Zimmerman, Jim Hiphill, John Zolgar.
Hello, Katie Zimmerman, Executive Director of Charleston Moves. It's really good to see you all tonight, and I appreciate all of the process so far for this transportation sales tax discussion. It's been transparent, it's been participatory. I think you all have done a really great job, and I am looking forward to the next opportunity for the public to engage. I just wanted to sort of optimistically put this in front of you all tonight, and I think you all know this, and I think you all agree with it. I think most of the voters in Charleston County share this vision of the overarching system with all of its components that you all are considering with a transportation sales tax. You can't have Greenbelt without bike ped, without transit, without road work, right? It all works together. It all feeds off of each other. So I think as you're having these discussions, as you're looking at the public input, just remembering that this is a system that's intended to work together. Helpfully, we know from your workshop, there's some minimum numbers, dollar amounts that, for example, transit has pointed out, CARTA has said, if you allocate this dollar amount, we can do this, versus you allocate this dollar amount, we might have to pull back some of our operations. So that data is really helpful. As you all, I know it's a difficult discussion to have, but I want you to know how much I appreciate the thoroughness of this discussion and the recognition that one piece can't function without the other to get us to that Charleston County that we're all hoping to get to, where you've got walkable development in the right places, no development in the wrong places, et cetera. So thank you.
Jim Hiphill, John Zlogar, Bert Morrison.
Good evening, Council. I'm Jim Hemphill. I'm at 2124 Barber Drive. I'm going to echo a lot of what Katie said and sound maybe like a broken record, though I think she's a little bit more eloquent than I am, so don't judge. So one of the things I wanted to point out is that you all have been super strategic through the TST program in creating the bones of a great biking and walking network. Projects like the Glen McConnell widening, Palmetto Commerce Parkway, Main Road Segment A have all included major wins for bike ped and major pieces of this great network. What Charleston Moves and what East Coast Greenway Alliance focused on is how we can link those great bones through small investments to create a network that really works for folks. During the workshop, you heard from Mayor Burgess on the perils that people face while just trying to get to work over the North Bridge. People deserve transportation choice in Charleston County, and the way to get that choice is through a cohesive network. As Katie mentioned, this program does not work in a silo. This is providing access to green space through bike ped infrastructure, and also that connection to transit. The bus doesn't drop you off and pick you up directly from your house, so you're using your two legs or a bicycle to get to the bus stop. It's critically important that we support this cohesive network. I want to end just with some words of encouragement. I am super grateful for the work of county staff, the consultants, and you all for creating this transparent process. Back in August, you outlined this vision for what this process would look like. And, to this point, you've listened to the public, you've asked for feedback. Really encourage you to keep this train rolling. Get something back out to voters to get more feedback. And let's try to reach those folks that we haven't been able to reach yet. Thank you so much for all the effort on this.
John Zolgar, Bert Morrison, Wendy Griffin.
Good evening, Council. John Zlogar, 5528 Frisco Lane. As you develop the sales tax, I'm going to kind of reiterate what other folks were saying. I want to thank you for your transparency and for reaching out to the public to the extent you have. With that in mind, I want to speak about the Greenbelt program. Both the public input and the staff recommendation was for a 20% allocation for Greenbelts. And I urge you to restore that funding to 20%. The Greenbelt program has been a great success. To date, it's helped fund to preserve almost 5% of the county. Think about that, 5% of the county you've conserved with Greenbelt funds. But there's a lot more to do. There's large tracts of land in the South County, on the Sea Islands, on the north side of West Ashley, and in East Cooper. There's conserving culturally significant areas throughout the county. And there's acquiring land for public parks. All of that still needs to be done and requires that 20% funding that was recommended. So there are some changes you should consider, though. These changes include changing the rural-urban split to 60-40 and allowing up to 10% of a project to be used for improvements. Currently, that's not allowed. So I think together those changes will go a long way to support a continued successful Greenbelt program. So I urge you to reinstate the 20% that both staff and the public have recommended. Thank you very much.
Bert Morrison, Wendy Griffin, Faith James.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Bert Morrison, 3848 Chestnut Street, and I'm here to talk about the pilot agreements. That's probably related to why we needed to raise the taxes on sales tax and property tax, because we're not getting enough money from these corporations. And the thing I'm concerned about is they're still not being transparent. We've seen the yellow papers that you've attached today. I printed out the law tax fee in lieu of tax simplification act and the requirements of that law, which require us to document the calculation and the fee and its calculation for each year of the agreement, so that we can see and easily see how much tax is abated. So the agreement that y'all might discuss today is with Mainstream Pine. This is a oil processing plant, a tar oil processing plant that wants to invest $20 million, or they have already invested it, and now they want a tax break on that money. And so your yellow paper says that will generate $1.4 million. What it doesn't say is that it could be generating $4 million, as the Constitution of South Carolina says we need to tax them at 10.5%. So that would be $4 million. So we're missing out on nearly $3 million of tax. That's the conversation we need to have. Is there $3 million that we're going to offer them over 20 years? Is that worth the 5 jobs that they're going to create from this? They said they're offering 5 jobs. We're going to give them $3 million of our tax money so we can have 5 jobs. That's the discussion we need to have. So on top of that, there's the crude oil, which is an environmental polluter. This is out by North Charleston, where all those smells come from. As they process that stuff, that's air pollution, that's water pollution, that has a significant cost. And so we need a transparent discussion. We need to cancel and prevent. Similarly, we need to cancel and prevent any agreements with foreign weapons manufacturers. This is crazy. Our local tax dollars should not be funding foreign wars. There is foreign weapons manufacturers that are profiting. They don't need our money. They don't need it. Thanks.
Wendy Griffin, Faith James, Kyle Taylor.
My name is Wendy Griffin. I live on the forgotten Edisto Island. I'm very proud to be the president of the Volunteer Fire Department on Edisto. I also help with sea turtle programs and ALLO, which is Animal Lovers of Edisto. But my reason here today is to try and get you to reconsider the Charleston Animal Society contract. On Edisto, there are an overwhelming amount of feral cats. The incorporated areas of Charleston tend to drop them off there and in our area. These unwanted cats cause diseases, rabies, leukemia, feline, AIDS, and many others. Most of these diseases can transmit to humans. They also kill a lot of our wildlife, mostly birds and their eggs. Pet helpers who I was told would help will only take 20 cats on Thursdays, first come only. They do not take appointments. This does not help with our needs. When you catch a cat and have to turn it loose, you probably will not catch it again. And if you're number 21, that's what you have to do. No one pays for my services because no one owns these cats. I was hoping with the letter that I had sent each of you that maybe one of you would reach out. On Edisto, we do not have any water, we don't have sewer, we don't have police protection, our roads are terrible. But we pay a stormwater runoff fee on our property tax. But when we're underwater, no one cares. I have a petition that is signed by the others that do not like what decision was made. We really need your help with the animals on our little island that we're forgotten about. I appreciate your time and thank you.
Faith James, Kyle Taylor.
Good evening. I am Faith Rivers James, Executive Director of the Coastal Conservation League. I want to begin by thanking council and staff for the thoughtful process that you've used in developing the 2026 transportation sales tax proposal. We appreciate the care that you've taken in balancing our collective transportation needs. Charleston County's explosive growth requires a comprehensive, multi-pronged approach. Adequate investment in CARTA, conservation, and bike and pedestrian infrastructure work in tandem to help us address our region's challenges. If funded appropriately, these three investments will work together as an integrated system. Greenbelt provides critical funding for land conservation that can help steer growth toward appropriate areas and away from flood-prone regions or areas without the requisite infrastructure. Out of $147 million in Greenbelt projects, $149 million have been public access projects. CARTA moves us through the county efficiently, gets cars off of our congested corridors, and connects our rural and urban communities to job centers, libraries, and recreational spaces. Public transit is an essential service for those without access to a car, and it provides freedom of choice in how we move about our region. Connected sidewalks and bike lane infrastructures, those make short trips possible without cars, provide safe transportation options for those who walk or bike to work, and it creates more livable communities. Together, these investments address traffic congestion more effectively than road building alone. The county needs a comprehensive approach that reduces car dependency. We urge council to ensure adequate funding of all three of these critical components, with transit for CARTA at 20% and Greenbelt at 20% of dedicated funding, and also funding for infrastructure. Thank you for your leadership and your time.
Kyle Taylor.
Hey, good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, and hello, County Council. My name is Kyle Taylor. I'm a Charleston native, and this public comment, and I've got a written letter that I'll provide to the clerk or to the deputy clerk for inclusion in the record as well. This is a follow-up to my prior appearance and verbal public comment on October 28th of 2025. Three main points I'd like to offer for consideration here tonight in regards to the transportation sales tax. The first point would be about the duration of the transportation sales tax. Charleston County has historically structured the transportation sales tax over a 25-year duration. While this provides a long-term revenue horizon, this time frame extends beyond what can be reliably forecasted for infrastructure needs, construction costs, and growth patterns. One consequence can be road projects, including the program, may be deferred for many years or even decades, resulting in limited visible progress and unclear status for voters. Conversely, committing projected revenues early in the cycle, such as through debt service, can constrain the ability to fund new or unanticipated transportation needs that arise later in the cycle. Other counties, such as Berkeley and Dorchester, have included a 1% tax for 7 and 15 years, respectively, so I would encourage consideration for a alternative time frame to ensure additional accountability and that outcomes and delivered results align with voter expectations. Point number 2 would be about scope. The sales tax presents a tool to deliver targeted transportation improvements and measurable benefits for roadway capacity, safety and congestion, and system reliability. Historically, the county, however, has diverted the scope to alternative funding programs, however, that provide narrow public benefits and have only a remote connection to transportation infrastructure. And I see my time is dwindling about halfway through, so I'll include the written public comments for reference and inclusion in the record. And thank you for your consideration, for your time, and happy to answer any questions or clarify anything. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Now we'll move into our Special Finance Committee. All members of council are members of the Finance Committee, and I'm the chair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right. Now we're going to adjourn Special Finance Committee and move into our County Council meeting. And at this time, I'd ask Mr. Pryor to lead us in prayer, and Mr. Sass do the pledge.
Your holy presence. We ask you to come in the midst of us tonight, guide our thoughts, and as we come to do the business of this county. We ask you to bless all those that are in attendance, bless our county staff, and bless every council member, our first responders, and those that protect us around the world in these United States. We ask you to keep us civil as we debate, and we ask you to guide our thoughts. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Freedom of Information Act.
In compliance with the Freedom of Information Act, notice of meeting was posted and agendas were distributed to news media and persons requesting notification.
Move for approval items 2.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item 3, recognition and resolutions.
Move for approval A through E. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right, this time I'd like to invite our acting planning director, Ms. Andrea Melisic, to make a presentation to Nikki Grimble. Sorry.
Thank you, Council. We are here tonight to recognize Nikki Grimble, who is our interim deputy director. She has received the Resourceful Innovator Award from Public Input for her outstanding work in public engagement. The award celebrates organizations that achieve remarkable impact with limited resources. It also honors those who maximize their manpower and budget to drive meaningful engagement, showcasing how creativity and strategic thinking can lead to powerful outcomes even with modest means. Nikki has been the driving force behind the implementation of this software for our department, and has also helped other departments who have expressed interest and have actually started using it. Our department began using public input to gather input from the public since April of 24. It was an effort to streamline public engagement on planning-related matters, from monthly cases going to our Planning Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, Historic Preservation Commission, and the County Council, to our long-range planning projects, including the comprehensive plan updates and amendments. And we use it to gather input and provide an easily accessible subscription database that allows residents to receive updates and notifications on topics of interest. So Nikki has done an amazing job. We really appreciate it. We'd never have been here without her. She's helping other departments get on the same system to gather more input. We're just very proud of you. Congratulations, Nikki.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to recognize Mr. Robert Benfield and Cliff Miller from the South Carolina Association of Counties to make a presentation to Safety and Risk Management Director Karen Green and her staff. Would y'all please come up?
Mr. Chairman and Council, it's my pleasure to be with you all tonight. Thank you for allowing us to come before you. In these challenging times, so many times we hear the word government, it's got a negative connotation that comes with it. It's our pleasure tonight to let the citizens and employees of Charleston County know the great things you guys are doing behind the scenes to protect your employees and the assets and financial situation of the county. Every year we evaluate our members' risk management programs, their activities, what they have going on, and our staff evaluates and then gives awards based on those activities. It's my pleasure this year to announce that Charleston County has won 3 awards for most field risk management and safety. The first award is the Sustained Excellence in Risk Management Program. This is an award that is given to those counties that have exceeded the basic qualification. Charleston County over the years has exceeded these significantly. Some examples would be they share information with department heads, they analyze losses, they hold people accountable for injuries when they can be prevented, and they find ways to mitigate these claims. So based on going above and beyond, tonight we're going to have to present Charleston County with the Sustained Excellence Risk Management Awards. We talk about risk management. Risk management by definition is simply trying to prevent bad stuff from happening. The goal of risk management is to protect the county's assets. As we all know, the most important asset a county has is its employees. Risk management by themselves cannot do this job alone. Karen Green and Dana Henderson have done a great job with risk management and safety. And it takes an entire team supported by county council, through department heads, by the administration, to the employee level to be successful. Charleston County truly exhibits a safety culture that should be respected and viewed upon by the members. The second award we'd like to give tonight is called the Outstanding Safety Achievement Award. It is when a member county does an activity that results in reducing injuries or threatening the county's assets. There are 2 parts of this one tonight. The first one is in July of 2024, the Risk Management Department put together a program to create a risk management information system that tracks workers' comp claims, HR claims, brings in all the data externally into one place to generate reports, create benchmarks, determine where your losses are coming from, and help formulate strategies to mitigate these exposures. In addition, it allows your county employees to go through a portal to report injuries or hazards they see day to day. It cuts down the time it takes to respond to them and provides documentation. This program has been very successful, and we're very anxious to see where it goes in the future. The second part of this program, this award, is one that I take a lot of heart to. We all know it's important to care about our people. And this award particularly goes to a program put in place called the Injured Worker-Centered Approach to Workers' Compensation. When an employee gets hurt, first thing you're thinking about is what's going to happen next. How do I get paid? How do I get back to work? Who's going to take care of my people? The program put in place in Charleston County is to ensure all employees are educated on what the benefits are under workers' comp, to make sure they understand how their benefits are calculated, what to know to expect of them, who's going to pay for medicine, how they're going to get back to work. And one of the things I like best about this program is individual meetings with every injured worker to sit down and talk to them and their family to let them know it's going to be okay. This is an approach we don't see in all the counties in South Carolina. This is something that took a lot of time to develop, and when your employees trust you, you get a lot done. You save the county money, they buy into what the programs are, and what you got going on. So for example, before this program was put in place, the county was paying out over $160,000 each year in defense costs when county employees got attorneys to defend their cases. Over the last couple of years, that cost has come down to $129,000, and the most recent year was $69,000 total. We've seen almost a 75% reduction in the cost being paid by employees when they get hurt, instead of trusting to work with the county, reach out to an defense attorney sometimes. This truly shows the value you have if the county cares about its people. Another way to gauge this is something called an experience modifier. Every year, just like your homeowner's insurance, they look at what you got, if you had a claim or not. If the county had as many workers' comp claims as they were expected to have, the modifier would be a 1. It means you know what you're supposed to do. If you have more claims than you're supposed to, the modifier goes above 1, you're penalized for it. If you have less claims than you're supposed to have, because you're doing a good job of risk management and safety and buying all the people in the county, your modifier can drop below a 1.
is happy to report that the experience modifier for Charleston County currently is at 0.81. That means you have a 19% savings versus what you were expected to. As taxpayers, I want to let you guys know that saved your county over $700,000 last year in premium. That is truly a successful risk management program and taking care of our people first and taking care of the taxpayers second. All of this goes into the third award I'd like to give you guys tonight. This is the most coveted award. We do not give it out every year. It is the most improved county risk management in the state of South Carolina. We have 42 counties in our programs. This year, Charleston County has won that award from us. We've been watching them carefully, working with Karen and Dana and staff. Based on your efforts, going above and beyond, and taking the approach that you truly care about your people, it's our pleasure this year to award Charleston County the most improved county risk management in South Carolina. Would you give me a hand, guys? Appreciate all the work that people have done for me.
Well done, y'all. This time, I would like to invite Ms. Patsy Gardner to come up to be presented with a resolution by Mr. Pryor.
A resolution of Charleston County Council honoring the community service of Patsy Holman Gardner. Whereas Charleston County Council recognizes that the foundation of our community is strengthened by individuals who dedicate themselves to serving others and advancing the common good. And whereas Patsy Holman Gardner is a distinguished community leader, advocate, and change maker with more than 30 years of experience in human services and social work, whose life's work has been devoted to improving the lives of individuals, families, and neighborhoods throughout Charleston County and the state of South Carolina. And whereas Mrs. Gardner is the founder and executive director of a Second Chance Resource Center, Network United, a 501c3 nonprofit organization established in 2013, which under her visionary leadership provides comprehensive, holistic services to justice-involved individuals, at-risk youth, young adults, and families. And whereas, drawing from both her professional expertise and her lived experience, Mrs. Gardner has transformed adversity into purpose, exemplifying resilience, accountability, and redemption, and serving as an inspiration to individuals seeking second chances and positive life change. And whereas she is the developer of the Holistic Experience Model, a person-centered framework guiding impactful programming in youth mentoring, reentry support, workforce development, educational enrichment, substance use prevention, transitional housing, and wraparound services. And whereas Mrs. Gardner founded the Phoenix House, providing transitional housing for justice-involved individuals experiencing homelessness, creating safe, structured, and supportive environments that foster reintegration, life skills development, and long-term self-sufficiency. And whereas through strategic partnerships with community organizations, faith leaders, and government agencies, Mrs. Gardner has advanced collaborative solutions to challenges affecting community safety, youth development, housing stability, and family preservation, earning her numerous awards, including the Jefferson Award and the 2024 Carolina Champion of the Year nonprofit organization. And whereas Mrs. Gardner continues to serve as chairperson of the Tri-County Regional Reentry Council, a member of the Charleston County Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, and as a consultant to the Urban Institute, contributing her expertise and local leadership to local, state, and national initiatives that promote social justice and community empowerment. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Charleston County Council formally honors Patsy Holman Gardner for her extraordinary dedication, visionary leadership, and transformative contributions to Charleston County, expressing gratitude for her unwavering commitment to building stronger communities and empowering individuals through second chances. Charleston County Council, Joseph A. Boykin, Chairman.
Several years ago at a couple of events that I attended. She invited me to. Never knew that she was doing all this until about a month or so ago. I was at a meeting and she was there and she was telling me, a lot of the stuff that she did. So I told her I wanted to be a blessing to her as well as her family and her mission by honoring her at Charleston County Council. She didn't ask for that, but I thought it was fitting to give her this. So everything she's read is in this for you. Okay, and I'm going to give you a minute to say what you want to say, because I know you can say a lot. Anybody know Patsy? Get on the phone with Patsy, you better have at least 30 minutes. We're going to give you a minute. Thank you so much, and we bless you. And she goes to satisfied, y'all. So shout out to satisfied.
First, giving honor to God, to Councilman, Chairman Morgan, Councilman Pryor, and the rest of council. I just want to say thank you to my family and friends, my husband, my mom is here from Maryland, my best friend Iris is here 40 years, my daughter, my sister Liz, and this is one of our little ones that's in our program, and I'm just so excited. I want to thank everybody for believing in second chances, believing in restoration, and also community transformation. I want to thank my sorors and brothers and sisters in sorority.
All right.
Incorporated that's out there. My mother, Africa for Apple, I want to thank y'all. And I just want to thank everybody. Councilman, thank you. And I've seen it, Robert, to give me this day. I appreciate you and the council. And Councilman Darby, I always love working with you. We have had some of your students in our transitional housing, so it's been a joy working with you as well. Councilman Middleton, same thing here. Thank you for all your prayers for our family and supporting the Second Chance Resource Center. And I look forward to doing more and more throughout the process. Thank you.
Let's give her another hand.
First Lady Burgess, Mayor Burgess' wife, and daughter. Thank you, First Lady.
Huge crowd. Huge turnout.
Why is that 125 and that's 150? They're 75 minutes. Can we cut it? Can we cut it and give it to Bruno? It's this. After all the quick fixes. 150. That's what I don't understand. These are the only quick fixes listed. Quite frankly, I'd be surprised if they get all that done in 2 minutes. But my question is that 50 part of this 125? It's the same as college.
Room. She brought the room.
Maybe she'll speak before make up for what you encourage her to speak.
Pretty impressive following.
Yeah, that's all I need.
I'll tell you, maybe we should use that approach at the start of the meeting, at the banquet. That would be good.
ready when you are.
All right, at this time, I would like to ask Kelvin Bluffton to please come forward to be presented by Mr. Darby, a resolution commemorating the 500th anniversary of the San Miguel de Gualdape Revolt.
Well, I'm only going to take 25 of them. How about that? Out of the whole 125. Not a pavement program. That's only 5%. I do? Yeah.
Mr. Darby.
Do you want me to read the resolution?
Mr. Muhammad, how you doing, sir? Why is your man your word? So often in African American history, we forget about the African. And thanks to this gentleman here, he's bringing us memory of the African. Resolution of Charleston County Council. Whereas the year 2026 marks the 500th anniversary of the San Miguel de Guadalupe Revolt, a pivotal and often overlooked chapter in the history of North America. And whereas in 1526, Spanish magistrate Lucas Vasquez de Leon established San Miguel de Guadalupe, the first European settlement of what is now continental United States, likely along the coast of present-day South Carolina or Georgia. And whereas among the approximately 600 settlers were nearly 100 enslaved Africans, the first documented instance of black enslavement in North America, who endured brutal labor, starvation, and disease. And whereas in October of 1526, these enslaved individuals courageously rose up against their captors, carrying out the first recorded rebellion against slavery and the territory that would become the United States. And whereas the revolt the enslaved Africans freed Spanish settlers held captive by mutineers, set fire to the homes of Spanish mutineers, a courageous act that contributed to the ultimate collapse of the colony. And whereas the self-liberated Africans of the revolt escaped into the wilderness to live among the local indigenous population, thereby becoming the first non-native community to peacefully coexist with Native Americans, marking the birth of a multi-racial tradition of resistance and the first known instance of Afro-Indigenous marooning in North America. Talk about diversity. Whereas this uprising, occurring 250 years before the Declaration of Independence, remains a powerful testament to the enduring human spirit and the foundational quest for liberty and equality on this continent. And whereas recognizing the 500th anniversary provides an opportunity for citizens to reflect on our shared history, honor the ancestors of the resistance, and recommit to the principles of freedom and justice for all. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Charleston County Council does hereby commemorate the 500th anniversary of the San Miguel de Guadalupe Revolt and urges all residents to learn about this significant event and honor the legacy of those who fought for freedom on these shores. Charleston County Council, Joseph A. Boykin, Chairman, February 10th, 2026, and the word from you, sir. Artwork with him that you could see. But a few words for you, sir. And his son, I should say.
Right. Council, Thank you all. Special thanks to Councilman Darby for your major contributions to Charleston. What I would say is that this history is African history, it's Gullah history, it's Spanish history, it's South Carolina history, Georgia history, it's American history. By recognizing this, Charleston actually puts the state in a particular position. It makes us the yardstick by which other states are measured. And I'd also say that when I graduated the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy in 1985, they said there's a right way, wrong way, and a Charleston way. And so this Charleston way, you know, again, it leads the nation in recognition of a great event such as this. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you very much for what you've done for the community, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right.
All right.
Thank you, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do keep my words.
I know.
All right. Item 4, third reading of ordinances. 4A, sale of 3565 Dorchester Road. Ordinance, third reading.
An ordinance authorizing the conveyance of real property totaling approximately .09 acres located at 3565 Dorchester Road, North Charleston, South Carolina, 29405, parcel ID number 46905000235 to Integrity Concrete of Charleston. Mr. Darby?
Aye.
Mrs. Honeycutt? Aye. Mr. Kabrowski? Aye. Mr. Middleton?
Aye.
Mr. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Pryor?
Aye.
Mr. Sass?
Aye.
Mr. Warman?
Aye.
Mr. Boykin?
Aye.
The ordinance passes third reading with 9 ayes.
Item 5, second reading of ordinances. 5A, Zelda Amendments, short-term rental regulations.
An ordinance amending the Charleston County Zoning and Land Development Regulations Ordinance Number 1202 as amended to add a provision for short-term rental properties that operate without a zoning permit at the following document location, Chapter 6 Use Regulations. Mr. Darby?
Aye.
Mrs. Honeycutt? Aye. Mr. Kabrowski?
Aye.
Mr. Middleton?
Aye.
Mr. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Pryor?
Aye.
Mr. Sass?
Aye.
Mr. Werman? Mr. Boykin?
Aye.
The ordinance passes second reading with 9 ayes.
Item 6A, financial incentives for Main Street Pipe Products LLC.
Chairman, I would like
Item
a
A.
discussion on that.
Okay.
Second.
All right, properly moved and seconded. Mr. Kabrowski.
I would. Thank you, and again, I admire your efforts and your skills of what you do, but I just wanted to ask that I looked at this, and it is the result to be only 5 additional jobs. I ask you if that's true, and do we know whether those jobs would come from outside the county or from within the county? And I'll ask a few follow-up questions, sir.
That is correct, sir. It is 5 additional jobs, and there is I don't have confirmation that any of them will or won't come from inside the county, but I can say that based on the economic impact that we do on this, they anticipate 4 of those jobs will be within the region, and 1 of them possibly could come from out.
When it says it will generate $1.4 million for the county, is that coming from the fact that this is being purchased by the company, or from that they would do anyway, or is that only coming from, is that directly proportional to the incentives we're giving them? In other words, I see what you're saying, that's a good thing, $1.4 million, but my question is that because, I'm reading this, that because they're putting $20.8 million in machinery and equipment, and I then asked would they do that anyway, even if we didn't give them the incentive? So those are my questions.
I understand. Now it's $1.4 million, Councilman Kabrowski, for all the taxing entities, sir. So that's the anticipated amount over the 20 years. And in the instance of this one, right? So they're adding $21 million of new machinery and equipment. That means machinery and equipment needs to be operated by someone, and that's where the 5 additional jobs come into play, sir.
And what is the incentive that we're giving them? That's why I asked for the grid, and then just so that anybody listening would know, what we're giving up to get that. What would we be getting from them if we didn't give them this incentive?
So in this instance, sir, we wouldn't get the 5 additional jobs, but also in this instance, we are giving him a credit agreement, and that is a not-to-exceed amount of $250,000 over the 20-year tax increment, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. I'm sorry,
Mr. Johnson, I just wanted to clarify something. The $20 million in investment, that is happening regardless of this FILO agreement, or that is not happening without this FILO agreement?
In this instance, it's a but for, sir. So we are getting the $21 million and the 5 additional new jobs, sir.
Thank you.
Anything further? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
1 nay, Mr. Kraski. All right, item carries.
And an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a special source revenue credit agreement by and between Charleston County, South Carolina, and Mainstream Pine Products, LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, to provide for the provision of special source revenue credits to express the intent of Charleston County to maintain the project property in a multi-county park and to provide for other matters related thereto.
Item 6B, financial incentives for attainable housing, Cordelia on Rivers multifamily rental project. Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
An ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a special source credit agreement by and between Charleston County, South Carolina, and Mack Hain LLC with respect to certain economic development property in the county, whereby such property will receive certain special source credits and other matters related thereto.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Before we move on, back on 6A, I just want to, bring this back to our remembrance. A young man got up and spoke during public comments and said that this county was giving up $3 million, over this 20-year period. And as you can hear from Mr. Johnson, it's only $250,000, which amounts to about $12,500 a year, of giving something back to the company to be here. So misinformation like that spreads like wildfire, and people take it for what it is without researching for themselves. So I just wanted to be on record. It's not $3 million. It's only $250,000 over the 20-year period.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you. Consent agenda.
Move to approve 7A through E.
Second. Moved and properly seconded. Any discussion on any of those items? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to...
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Items A, B, and C move for approval, and then I'll come back to D. I want to separate that, so I'll go with A, B, and C first.
Second. Moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item
Now,
8D.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
As you know, on Thursday, that's right, because today is Tuesday, we recommended setting the green belts at 15% and transportation for the transit at 20%. And we also recommended splitting the funding for the Better North Bridge between the city of Charleston and the city of North Charleston. I agree wholeheartedly. I came here today, if I could have got the support to put more money back into the roads, because this is a transportation sales tax, and it's a roads issue along with transit. But I don't have enough support to do that. So I'm going to go with the motion that came out of committee. But let's remove this 75, but let's just go with the pie chart today, and we can come back next week, and then we can figure out on, how we're going to spend the money and where it goes.
Okay.
So I just want to get the pie chart straight so everybody will know now. The pie chart moves forward. We come back next Thursday, and then we can evaluate the projects what we think should move forward to put on the referendum.
Take no action tonight.
Not on the. I'm taking action on the percentages and removing the split funding for the North Bridge in the city of Charleston, in North Charleston.
But
I think I understand what he's saying, but let me ask you, I think we got a list from staff last night about how to carve up
Yeah.
the $45
Well,
million.
we can defer that until next
So
Thursday.
we just got that list from staff last night,
Last
so you
night,
wanted a
so I
chance
need
to
time to study
review
that.
those road projects, and let's come back next week and
Yeah,
discuss those.
we got time to do that. Yes, sir.
And that's fine. I just want to make the point that if we get it done, the next county council meeting, we will be kind of at our limit of keeping the train moving on schedule.
Well,
All
I
right,
think
so-
we can get it done since now we know where the pie chart is coming from. It'd be easier to do that.
Okay.
While we, value Greenbelt, this county has did more for Greenbelts than any other county in the state of South Carolina. And I think we have kept our commitment. It went from 17 and first, I think it was 2004, then the second to 2016, it went to 10%. And we've got a lot. And so even if this is down at 15, you're still looking at about $638 million. It's over $600 million. And I think used wisely and smartly, along with grants and other things that looking out for, we still can accomplish what we need to accomplish. But again, let's emphasize, this is a transportation, and people are looking for roads and transit and bike and pedestrian, pathways. That's what they're looking for. And so if we're going to move this to the public, I think we got to do it transparently like we're doing right now. And, I could take numbers and make it appear to what I want it to appear if you get the right people behind it. But the public, the general public, is more concerned about roads because I've been getting emails, I've been getting text messages, and, even phone calls, people saying, put more money in roads and transit.
So, Mr. Pryor, one question and maybe a point of order. We had Secretary Hall lined up to give us a presentation. Do you want to receive that or not, or do you want to push
No,
that till next?
let's wait till Thursday because it would be moving forward with something that nobody else has asked. I think we can do that on Thursday.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Krabrowski.
This is a point of order again. When you talked about the percentages, are you talking about the one that came recommended to us or the one that we changed last?
The one that we changed, 20 for transportation, transit, which is we call it, and 15% for green belts.
Well, thank you for that clarification, but I want to point out that, we hired people to go out and get the public opinion. We hired them for a purpose. They came back with 20% for Greenbelt. And I want to say that we heard from Richard Habersham, we heard from Myla Richardson, and in the unincorporated areas, this is how I'm of the opinion that many people out there say that enough is enough. And like I've said many times, that we wake up and we see that we lost a lot of what we loved about Charleston. And this is a way to preserve it for future generations. But it's not just preserving our green areas for everybody to enjoy, and it's a lasting legacy. Like I said, after our names are forgotten, this would be something that future generations would have. If we don't do it, we're on a path, and we see the economic incentives more and more and more. When is enough enough? And this is a way to say that we want to preserve what we love about living here, but this also has to do with transportation. In my area, if we don't buy land in north of Mount Pleasant to McClellanville, all that's going to happen. My nightmare is that 17 North becomes the nightmare that's now 17 South. From this building and putting infill everywhere. If this is a way, and we did hire people to go out, this is what came back. I'm open for compromise, but I would still like to be on record. I think 20% is we have a generational opportunity to shape the future, and this is it. Imagine if we don't do this, we don't preserve the land, project out 20 years, there's not going to be much of anything left. We take the last 10 years of what's happened. In my lifetime here, since mine started in 1979, I just see, enough is enough, and this is a way to help preserve, but also for green space along roads as part of transportation. It's a way to deal with the future, and we have, the more and more construction everywhere. That affects the wetlands. That affects how are we going to account for the rising tides that we know is coming? This is a way to adapt to that. We can't pretend that that's not going to happen. in green spaces a way to deal with what we are going to experience in the future with increased flooding everywhere. So I would still like to keep the 20%.
Ms. Honeycutt?
Mr. Pryor, I understand the trying to keep it simple and transparent for everyone, but I do feel like I've equally heard from a number of constituents that the Greenbelt program is very important. Would you consider an amendment to, and here's a couple of other things that I feel like are a little confusing from what's in this pie chart. But the $90 million for Northbridge, to me, should be a featured project. Yes, it's dedicated to bike ped, but that's infrastructure. That's a road. That's not just bike ped. And so I would like to see that piece of the pie moved into our roads program because, I mean, there's a chance at some point in the future, if they decide to completely remove and replace that facility, that it would be an even bigger infrastructure project. So that's where I would like to start. And if we do that, it actually would increase our overall roads, and we could find $70 million to add to the Greenbelt program by taking $25 million from the intersection program. That has $125 million right now, and only $50 of it dedicated to the 10-year plan. The other area is $40 million, only 10% of the paving program, and $5 million from the signalization improvements. I believe there's some AI investment that we wanted to do. That would give us $70 million to put back in the Greenbelt program and bring them very, very close to the 17% they're seeking. It is not lost on me who were the successful advocates and detractors from the last program. I think this is a very, very important aspect of our program. I think conservation has done amazing things to support our historic settlement communities. Wadmalaw is a great example. With the zoning that's out on Wadmalaw and the conservation efforts, that has protected communities out there. And we see that across the county. Likewise, we see the access to public parks in other communities like 10 Mile and 6 Mile that we just heard about. So I would strongly urge council and your consideration for tonight to go ahead and reallocate that so the public sees our commitment and not just a cut to what was brought to us. If we do that, we could put $70 million back in the Greenbelt program, not touch any bike ped with the exception of moving that $90 million Northbridge feature into our roads program and still increase our road spending.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Honeycutt, but I think I just want to move it along the way it is right now, and then we can figure this out. But I would say how interesting it is. All of a sudden now, settlement communities is the biggest part of the Greenbelt program. I've been here for 22 years, along with Mr. Darby and Mr. Nabbit when we first came in, and we've been pushing and pushing for these for so many years. But every time a tax comes up, the settlement community, and then after the tax is passed, these people no longer see what they should be receiving. Now, I mean, let's be honest. The Greenbelt is going to get an extra 5% more than what they had in the last penny sales tax. So that's a big jump, okay? That's almost, what? It would be more like they'll be getting $638 million, and I think almost like a $212 million increase from what they had. And so if they can't do with that and then go search for grants and other things, this is a transportation sales tax. And again, we shouldn't be using Greenbelt as a weapon to stop development. We ought to do it through zoning and have the courage to do it through zoning and also moratoriums. Okay, that's how you control most of these stuff. But you know, I'm saying if this thing needs to get up off the ground and we're really serious about getting it done, we need to be upfront with the public and let them know this is for transportation. But what I would like to do, see Mr. Tootin, is by next Thursday, we pay a 6 cents a gallon tax on gasoline that they pass throughout the state. I think it started, what, 3 years ago? Maybe a little longer. I would like to know how much we have put into that program and how much we have collected from it. I mean, nobody in this thing is talking about let's go to the state and let's, you know, these are state roads. These are state roads. And nobody is saying let's go to the state and make them do their job Otherwise, we're saying, let's put it on the backs of the taxpayers of Charleston County, you know, and then some tourists or people come across from Dorchester County and Berkeley County, which is a few miles, and put it on the backs of them. So these advocate groups who are here beating up on county council, I'd like to see y'all go to your state representatives and say, hey, we need some money. Let them make up the difference in the green belt if it's so important. I mean, to say if we don't get 20%, we're going to sink the transportation sales tax. I mean, what is it? Cut your nose off and ruin your face? So if this is real important, we are trying to do everything we can to make everybody happy. But if transportation is really what we are selling, then the bulk of the money should go toward transportation. Just my take.
Mr. Wehrman.
Thanks, Chairman. Mr. Pryor, I'm going to support this motion. I mean, I think, you know, to Ms. Honeycutt's point, I think there are probably a number of different places where money we can talk about pulling money from, and that applies both to Greenbelt, but it also applies to how we address this issue in North Charleston needing basically $45 million. I think if we're taking a step back on one of those, we can take a step back on both of them. Because as I think I've said before, you know, you pull one string on this thing and it affects 5 others. I think taking a step back, approaching this comprehensively, being able to get a full view of it is helpful and probably the right thing to do right now. I don't want to lose sight of the fact that there are other ways I think we should also consider when it comes to maybe making sure we can get Greenbelt in the places that can use it most. You know, we talk about the allocation of urban and rural. I think that's, you know, that's an option that I don't want to forget about. You know, maybe treating something like a priority project or something like that. I think there are ways we can make the most of, be it 17, be it 16, be it 15%. But I do strongly believe that we need to do that within the context of what all is happening across this entire sales tax. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Pryor, I'll support it for those reasons.
Thank you, Mr. Wehrman.
Bruce.
Go ahead, Mr. Krabrowski.
Go ahead, I'll defer to you.
I'm going to support this as well, Mr. Pryor. You had a lot of great comments, and I wouldn't be opposed to listening to Ms. Honeycutt's idea about the Better North Bridge. My concern is that if that build grant never comes, or the state builds a bridge for us, that money's tied up and locked up, and we can't do anything with it. Now that's there they go again, moving the money around. No, that's not the case. But the other problem with that is that money's paralyzed for how many every year? It's $45 million a year for Charleston, North Charleston, that is locked up, that could be going to these 8 or 9 roads that the cities gave us that are $4, $5, $6, $8 million pots that we can get done quickly. That's my concern about locking that money up. I also appreciate Mr. Habersham's comment. I think the urban unincorporated area does need more money in the Greenbelt. We did 2 big projects in the last couple of years at Church Creek and then
Boone Hall.
It pretty much wiped out the whole number. And it would be nice to have more money, and the municipalities directly benefit. And I think the city and Mount Pleasant both put a little bit of money in both those projects, but it directly benefits them because they're usually a donut hole within those municipalities. So I think I would like to see more in the unincorporated area. But Mr. Pryor, I agree with you 110%. I think that the Greenbelt goals, with the exception of corridors, they haven't been met. They've been blown out. Yeah. And I'm not talking about 110%. I'm talking 180%, 200%. Let's work on corridors to get money into transportation. That's where I am. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Krabrowski.
Point of order. I think everybody needs to be afforded an opportunity to speak first before we do a repeat.
I think Mr. Pryor spoke 2 or 3 times, but I'll
Was
defer
answering
to
the
anybody
motion.
else that wants to speak first. Okay, I'll be brief.
Thank you.
I just wanted to actually agree with Councilman Moody. I would, as we go forward, this is not final. The 60-40 and the unincorporated area, I would welcome that discussion. So thank you for that comment. I think that would be constructive, as I heard you say, if I heard you right.
No, you did.
Okay, well, I heard you wrong. So, but I want everybody to think of what they've seen with their own eyes over the last 10 years. You know, huge new subdivisions brings people and cars. That adds to our traffic flows. So I think it is worthy in our unincorporated areas. We know what we've seen happen. In knowing that, this to continue more and more and more, enough is enough. And I think that we attack traffic. Yes, most of it should go in the roads, but also to put, areas off from development and retain what we love about living here, but also to recognize if the last 10 years is then the prologue for the future, just envision what will happen if we don't do this with green space and green belt money. So I would say that is crucial to the future and the quality of life here. So I would still stick with the 20%. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pryor, couple of things. I concur with Ms. Honeycutt's position on 17% for Greenbelt, but I could be persuaded to have that be a lower number if there was a greater allocation given to the rural areas, as Mr. Wehrman was talking about. I think those are the truly last bastions of unspoiled space in Charleston County that deserve to be protected. Especially, I got a lot of people in those communities. They don't want their world to change, where they live. They like their lifestyle. Secondly, as to the gas tax, Charleston County receives between like $9 or $10 million a year in gas tax. That's it. You can't even hardly build a roundabout with that.
I want to know how much we collect.
Oh, we collect a whole lot more than that. We are
Right.
a donor county.
Right.
So there's no fairness in any of this.
So our legislature should be fighting to bring more of that money back in.
That'd be up to the state, I guess, but I concur with you. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yes, sir. Thank
yes,
you.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Sass, sorry.
Thank you, sir. I really like the tack you just went on, talking about maybe the percentage changing. The problem we have is this is a zero-sum game. If we have X amount of dollars, you move dollars here from this pile, then they don't go somewhere else. And so we've got to work on those percentages. Those percentages, I think, will be changed somewhere. We'll be hearing a lot of advice in the next couple of weeks about how we should do this. I think maybe we'll get some better ideas, maybe. And I think it's a good start tonight. I like the idea of. I'm a little bit short Greenbelt at 15%, I think, but I'd like to see it a little bit higher. But thank you very much.
All right. Anyone else? Okay, well, call for the question.
Yeah, it left up to me, Greenbelt will be 10%. I'm not saying that facetiously, but I'll give my reasons on Thursday coming, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
Why I'm of that opinion, sir.
Okay. Well, call for the
I
question.
wanted to, Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
not to prolong the meeting, but certainly, Mr. Sass, I listened to you attentively on Thursday and didn't even consider myself until I listened to you other conservation groups and or entities whose life's work or the history of their work has been to also contribute to this, like Ducks Unlimited and all those other things. So the county itself, and I'm a proponent and fan of conservation, greenbelt programs, and that sort of thing. Certainly, once I heard that, a light bulb went off to say that we cannot bear the brunt of every single thing. We can't. Although, when looking at the program writ large, when I first came to council, I continued and combed through the minutes over the years, saying that there is something inequitably unbalanced with the distribution formula because the rural areas were not necessarily getting their fair share. I saw that as it related to every time we got an update or a presentation, I'm like, wait a minute, who's controlling the bank? And recognize that we control the bank. And so we control the projects or whatever that are funded so that the ones that when we're in the hole over here, and so what if everybody came with something that everything was funded at one time, then the whole thing would have been bankrupt. And so I really think that we need to be extremely, extremely strategic in making certain that we put levers in place, so that when you look at the overarching way that the program is administered, that some of those things are controlled, not regulated, but because decisions that are being made internally, that then when it comes to us, it's already in a deficit sort of situation. And so we have to be better stewards of that. We said it over and over again that there's no more money, and if this transportation sales tax does not pass, then we are in a fix as it relates to that. I also want to just reiterate or raise the point that we can't pick and choose when the voices of the settlement communities are most cogent. Because those same people, when they come up here asking for certain things like, we don't want the widened sidewalks in 4 Mile. We don't want and then we just ramrod and go right past their wish and their desire there where we represent them. They don't have a town council or a city council. We are their city council. Same people got up there, and then it was not even important at that point that their voices said, no, we don't want this. But because Mount Pleasant, I am for Mount Pleasant, so I'm not speaking disparagingly about Mount Pleasant, but because the project was brought up, then certainly, you know, again, the overarching, and I'm for the Mount Pleasant way. I'm just making a point. And so we cannot then, sort of loud their voices, meaning L-A-U-D, their voices when it just succinctly fits within our narrative. And then at times when they have come loudly and with large numbers as it relates to things that are impacting them in their community, we just go on and vote another way, and we represent them. The last thing I will also say is that when looking at still, like snouted, 50 years, they're coming asking about the same thing. And so at some point, we have to really look at just what we are doing as it relates to the equitable component of this. When looking at finding all this extra money and kind of reconfiguring the funding puzzle, it's curious to me because now that we are finding all this money or ways in which to kind of sort of reconfigure things, I would put even more in transit now that I'm hearing this, as opposed to just even the 20%. When looking at the historic opportunity that we have, meaning when I listen to all the presentations, even over time of the updates, et cetera, and saying that the historic and even articles, preservation, conservation of spaces, and I think it's celebratory of land mass across Charleston County that we, over 40-something%, if I'm not mistaken, that has already been conserved, and certainly we want more. Obviously we do, but there are other groups that are also doing that. The state should also kick in. We should also be encouraging our Greenbelt program offices, persons who work for the county, partners, to synergize our efforts and then get dollars that come from other places. And at the same time, we should be looking for ways to make certain that we are putting historic investments in areas that will benefit this region for years and years to come. When we listened to Carter, that presentation, saying that it will do nothing more, nothing new for them, if then we just fund them at the current level. And so when looking at the opportunity to really exponentially advance Carter, whereby in generations to come, we heard the presentation, by 2032, if the city realizes all the things that they're trying to do, then how are those people going to move around? How are they going to move around? We need some sort of system. And so I just continue to ask us, and I know we have more time, I spent all of last year making certain that all of these processes went just the way that they went, so that we could have the transparency, we could have the engagement, we could have the strategic sort of overarching planning. And so now is the fruit of all of that, and we have to still make certain that we're carrying the ball across the finish line. And so I thank you for allowing me to have that extended comment, but at the same token, I would put more when we have this expanded conversation, and I recommended the retreat, and I recommend almost another retreat, to the extent, not the retreat to have other folks come in and present, but where we can sit around and instead of people carving up a pie themselves and then prognosticating to us right up here in real time, we can all sit down, and if you have to have Legos or something manipulative so that we can see where we're putting it in and be comfortable once we come up with something, that we come together, not in the dark of night or in the anonymity of phone calling and texting and that sort of thing, but we can all sit down and really do the work to make certain that we have equitably, fairly, and honestly, and not to say nobody's being dishonest, but meaning in our communication with one another. I think we all want the same thing. We all are trying to do the same thing, but I think we need to talk together and stop trying to cut deals based on external pressures and influences, and make certain that we are doing the right thing for every citizen of Charleston County. I know nobody wants to hear me, but that's just what I wanted to say tonight.
Mr. Middleton, I'd like to make one statement, I guess, to all of that and hear you loud and clear. I'm going to use the basic conservation easement as an example. When a landowner comes forward and they are basically selling their development rights, they generally receive about 10 cents or 10% of that value from the in the form of the easement, what they're receiving from whether it be the Conservation Bank or the county. A lot of these conservation easements, if you look at the leveraging, it's almost 100% between the property owner and adding in the Conservation Bank to what the county's contribution is. So those are very heavily leveraged easements. And so I would say that we aren't carrying the burden for everyone. We are working in partnership, and there's support from outside of Charleston County on these easement projects. But with that...
well, I do have one concern.
Go ahead, Mr. Darby.
Now, when Mr. Grabowski and I fought against 526, because there was not a separation of the question, I'd like to know, since Mr. Pryor eloquently stated that this is a transportation sales tax referendum, how is the question, or how are the questions going to be asked? Now, we're going to come up with just one question that's automatically going to be derailed. I'm just of the opinion, let the citizenry decide what they want. So I'm thinking there should be a separation of the question on this TST. TST question, Greenbelt question. And if the public says Greenbelt, so be it. So I'm thinking, where are we with the question? Are we going to have one question, or are we going to have two questions?
I think that's a good point. Absolutely. Anything further?
I'd like to get an answer. If it's premature, I'll wait till later on.
I would say it's premature. We're not
Okay.
even there yet, but I think you raised an excellent point. If we really want to have a democratic process, we could divide the question as much as we wanted to.
I mean, because Mr. Grabowski, I mean, you taught Charleston County a lesson, sir. So I just want to make sure that we do the right thing to let the citizenry know. Because again, I'm not a fan. Listen, let me say, Mr. Pryor, myself, upon arrogance, Mr. Nabnett, who else was on council, sir? Bostic, that's right. Because I too, I had some doubts about this program. So again, we are not anti-green belt. We are not. We know that there's a need for green belt. What I am against is anti-percentage, high percentage. That would be my problem. So again, it's not anti-green belt, but I think when that time does come, we need to have a separation of the questions, and I would stop right there.
Since you're on that road, might as well go all the way down it. Why not three questions? One for infrastructure, one for transit, one for Greenbelt. Split it wide open if we're going to do it that way. And
Yes,
I've not seen us right or wrong.
I think
Okay.
it's something, that we consult the attorney.
Sure. Okay. Anything further?
Roll call vote, please.
This is on Finance Committee recommendation, correct?
Except the last
Yes,
stop.
except for the, yep, got it. Thank you for clarification. Thank you.
Mr. Darby?
Aye.
Mrs. Honeycutt?
Nay.
Mr. Kabrowski?
Nay.
Mr. Middleton?
Aye.
Mr. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Pryor?
Aye.
Mr. Sass?
Nay.
Mr. Werman?
Aye.
Mr. Boykin?
Nay.
The motion passes with 5 ayes and 4 nays.
All right. Now we move into council comments. Mr. Moody, you'd like to start?
Sure. I'm usually kind of short to the point, but I got a lot on my mind. I hadn't said much in a while, and now I'm going to talk.
Uh-oh. We're gonna announce
Reverend
that.
Moody. Well, it started last year with Chairman Middleton that said, I'm going to get you on board with this transportation sales tax. And I said, you can forget it. And my friends in the business community, everybody said, we got to get you on board. And I said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And I don't want I'm very interested in the allocations, obviously. I participate in that. But I don't want my opposition to be taken as staff as any kind of slight to their work. They've done an amazing job, and our consultants have done a great job too. The advocacy, the public meetings, everything seems laid out very fairly, equitable across the county. But my biggest problem, and I've told my colleagues this, is it's too soon. It's too soon. Voters said in November of 24, 61-39, that they did not want 526. They did not want bike ped. They did not want intersection improvements. They did not want neighborhood pavings. And I get doing it now is not a tax increase per se, but when you get your tail whipped again You can't go back every 2 years. It's going to be 6, 7, 8, 10 years before you can go back again. So why not get some of these quick hit projects that staff came up with, and why not get Main and 17 a little bit further along down the road? People, when they sign on for a tax, they want the road open tomorrow, and I do too. But they don't know that Glen McConnell takes 7 years to build, only 2 years of which was construction, because 5 years of crap. People don't get it. And I don't like it either, but they want the road open tomorrow, and they don't get pay-as-you-go either. But I don't think it's our position to tell the voters when it's time for a transportation sales tax. Based on the butt kicking we got last year, 2 years ago, it's on them to tell us when to do it again. That's my opinion. But further that, the reputational damage done to this council was brutal. Environmental groups, the editors at the Post and Courier, we've got a AAA credit rating, we've got pristine financials, we got a letter from DOR that said every penny has been spent. They didn't care. They didn't report that because it would have undermined their blitzkrieg. And it's like when Senator Harry Reid, remember all those years ago, told all those lies about Mitt Romney. And when he got called on, he went, well, so what? It worked. Same thing. Yeah. So they're not going to say we handled the money right, because that would mean they have to eat crow, and they're not going to do that. So, you know, and the interesting thing, too, we heard them tonight here. They're the first at the trough to feed. And we give them the money. I mean, it's amazing. They have looted this program for over 20 years, and we want to try to get money in transportation for a transportation sales tax? And up here crying. I'm with you, Mr. Darby. I'd take it to 10 or 12%. I would support that in a heartbeat. So based on those things, I'm really concerned about the future of the transportation. I get it. That's the only way we can fix our roads, because, Mr. Pryor, to your point, the state's not going to do it. Well, there's no juice up there to get money back here, so we've got to do it ourselves. I get that. But doing it in 28, when we've got some more resume, I think makes a lot of sense. Now, yeah, am I pissed about 526? I am, because it's a bullet in West Ashley. And if you're for 526, I heard the voters, I listened to them, and that's fine. But if you're for 526, you ought to be voting no for this. I'm going to be voting no for it. It's the most important project, in my opinion, in the state, if not the Southeast. So a transportation sales tax without that critical project will never have my support. And you've got other constituencies out there. You've got the, never tax yourself. I'll never vote myself a new tax. Or, they've squandered the money they've gotten, which I believe DOR has squashed that argument. But those people aren't going to vote for a TST. We hear from the Stop the Growth people all the time. Make infrastructure. Make the developers pay for it. That's a growing and loud constituency that's got to be listened to. They're not voting for this thing. With respect to my colleagues in East Cooper, that's a problem over there. Mr. Kowalski's pointed out a number of times, the handful of precincts won, most of them are lost. Most of them were 54-46, 55-45. East Cooper was 70-30, 80-20. That's a problem. That's a big problem. And they want Greenbelt. I mean, the mayor's made it clear they've got all the roads and infrastructure they need because we all funded it for them the last 20 years. Now we need their help to get our other areas funded. I don't know that that's going to come based on the beating that happened in November 24. So, the pie, I think, I already said, I think 650 is too much. I think I would put more in the, I would keep it 50-50. I would put more in the urban, unincorporated areas to do more big deals like that. The city's seawall, we don't call it a seawall. Call it what it is, seawall. That number is appalling to West Ashley and my constituents in North Charleston. It really is. So you're going to build a wall to protect the wealthy peninsula and dump all the water past the Citadel into the neck and where the lower income people live? I'm not voting for that. I'm not going to do that. So, when you add debt service, which I think is a little light, bike ped, all these other things, you got probably 48 to 50% of the pie is not transportation related, in my opinion. That's going to be a problem. That's going to be a big problem. I don't know that I support Mr. Darby separating the things out, but all it takes is 50+1 to fail or pass. And when you got all these problem areas, I think our staff's done a great job, but I don't think it's addressed these hot spots of opposition. And 50%+1 gets it done one way or the other. So when you add those no contingencies, I think you got a problem, and that's why I think we ought to wait until 2028. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, sure. Mr. Middleton.
I think that my good colleague and friend, Mr. Moody, is dragging me over to his side every time I talk.
Oh, no, y'all brought him over.
Excuse me?
Y'all brought him over.
Yeah. At this point, and there may be another point that will bring me over to his side, is what I'm saying. Certainly every time I hear you talk and articulate, all of the complexities of this, it really helps me understand that this is a very big decision for us to make, and we should not rush. We should not enter into it unadvisedly. Our consultants have done an excellent job. Staff is doing all they can to react to all of the things that we keep telling them to do. But I think we need to get on the same page at some point, making certain that all of the areas of the county, all of the unintended, whatever those things might be, based on pulling one string, so that we get it as right as we possibly can. So, if then it seems as though, we're kind of moving things in a way because, just to speed it along, and we have not truly addressed all of the gray areas that remain gray, then at some point I may have to just jump off ship as it relates to that. But so again, Mr. Moody, thank you for always being consistent and open. We've had dialogues, again, may not agree, but certainly can talk and listen and exchange. And I wish that we all would be willing to do that openly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Milton. Mr. Darby.
Moody for president.
Mr. Sass.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think everybody can see that what a difficult decision this is. I knew last year after that vote that we were going to have a tough time, and that we have a lot of work to do to mend fences or to try to get a better product out there, which we've been working really hard to do, and I think we have good people working on it. I think we got about the best people we could, and I think we're working on this. We'll just have to see. We'll have to move forward and hopefully some of these people that are so adamant about one particular percentage or something like that will understand that it's not just about their percentage, it's about all of the percentages. It's about Charleston County, and all these different things fit together. They all kind of work together. So I think that's real important. I hope that the public will listen to that, and I hope the advocacy groups will listen to that. Because we got a lot of work to do to get this to a point where we can get it passed, where we can pass it up here. So I mean, that's the challenge, the way I see it. That's the challenge, and we got a lot of work to do. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Weirman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I would agree and disagree with some of what's been said. I would first thank our staff and our consultants who have certainly had a few curveballs thrown at them, sometimes from us, sometimes from others, and I think they've handled it admirably. Listen, it was always going to be hard when we got the revenue projections. I mean, we frankly just thought we were going to be working with more money than we are. And so there's going to be difficulties here in trying to make choices, but so I would agree with that. The process is going to have some difficult times, but I also think that's healthy. I think that being able to hash this stuff out and hopefully keep in mind that we are all going to be stronger if we're together. I would say that regardless of how this thing shakes out, that's going to be true. And so that's why I'm not going to join my colleague and friend, Mr. Moody, in saying that I would oppose this. So I'm looking forward to moving forward and, continuing that process. But, I think we all know and recognize that not everyone's going to get everything they want. We are all elected here to advocate for just that, and so there's inherently a conflict, but I think we can do it. I think we can come together in the end and present something that's a real benefit to the public. I will also just add as an aside, I don't want to ignore the Cordelia on Rivers project, which also we are putting into place here. Happy to see again that we're using and maximizing all the tools at our disposal to address affordable housing, another critical regional issue that we all have to deal with. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Pryor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And while some may say this is a difficult decision, it probably is. But when you do what's right, you know, it doesn't matter. You're going to make somebody mad either way. You know, you got this person on that side, that person on that side. Our job, to me, is to figure out what is best for the county as a whole, and then the special interest goes away. You know, this process, and Mr. Moody had it so eloquently, started when it got voted down in 2024. And the same advocacy groups who so eloquently got constituents to vote against this, now they're telling the people, well, we were against it, but now we for it, vote for it. I mean, the people are confused. And then it puts a lot of pressure on us to try to straighten out what they have screwed up. And so I'm going to stand by what is right for the citizenry. And everybody is not going to agree. Some folks are going to be unhappy. But when you've done your best and you've done what you know is right, then it's just time to move on. And so I hope when we come back on Thursday, we'd be able to hash this out. But, you know, I thank staff, our consultant, Ms. Hall, everybody who has done phenomenal. They've done what is asked of them. Now it's up to us to make that decision. So we don't need to put them in the middle of this fight, you know, pulling them one way, what you think I need to say or what you think I need to present. We need to make that decision now. And we need to look in the mirror and say, the decision I make is going to benefit the county as a whole, not just certain special interests or not just me in general, because at the end of the day, constituents are looking to us to solve the problem. And when you've done that, you can go home and look yourself in the mirror and say, I've done all I can do, I've done it right, it's time to move on. But I'm, you know, Mr. Moody, Reverend Middleton, you know, they make good points, even Mr. Wormy. And, you know, but I think in order for this to pass, we're going to have to show the citizenry that we are all on the same page and we're going to do what's right. And, you know, Mr. Gabrowski, why you say you want 20, well, if you can only get 15, then you can take it or leave it. But if you vote against this, then, you know, anytime something comes up in your district, what if we say he didn't vote for it, let's not give him anything? I've told other council members that the same way, too. It's like when we were playing pickup ball on the basketball court, the guy who brought the ball didn't get picked. So he said, I'm going to take my ball and go home. Nobody else can play. So, I mean, you got to be open-minded, and you just can't take your ball and go home and say, well, if I didn't get picked, I'm not going to play. You're not picking on you, but anybody else that says that. You want 20, but if you get 15, 15 is better than 0. But I will say I'm going to be watching this closely, and those who say, you know, they don't want to move this forward, well, when and if it passes, remember, don't come to the trough with your hand open when you voted against it. That's all I want to say. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Brown.
Well, first, I want to say this is a test of whether single-member districts work or not. We have 9 districts. We have a county 100 miles long. It's very narrow. And like to quote Yogi Berra, it's like deja vu over again. I was on the Charleston County School Board, and everybody fought from the different areas. And, you know, it's like we're very diverse, and everybody thought everybody else had everything, and they weren't getting it. And I see some of that replicated today. And I feel as a student of history, it's like George Orwell is very much present today in revisionist history. I sat on this board. I remember the debate leading up to the tax referendum. In my opinion, well, first of all, since the precincts were brought up, yes, it's true that East Cooper voted against it, but so did your district, Mr. Moody, everybody's district, but voted against this. And it was almost unanimous. The West Ashley is pretty much 2/3 everywhere, except certain areas in the north area or downtown. but it was pretty universal, the same everywhere. And the suggest, I know why I was opposed it, and you mentioned 526, because it was not a campaign against the county as such, but everybody knew that voted for this, that half of it was going to go to one project, and because of the way it was written, all cost overruns would have gone to that. Very well, the whole thing would have been for 1 6-mile project, and there were 14 things listed, only 11 could be built. And that was why, and this, I think, in terms of taking the marbles and going home, sour grapes because you didn't get what you want, to take the marbles and go home and try to defeat everything, I think is the wrong way to do. We're all elected. The roads aren't going to take care of themselves. They're not going to build themselves. And nobody knows whether what we present is going to pass or not. That's what I said last time. We're not Nostradamus, but we need it to put what we think will work countywide and for everything. I mean, for mass transit, to help, how are we going to preserve our rural areas and, you know, and build our roads? It's our job to put the best scenario together and put it out to the public, as Mr. Darby said, and then the public will decide. But to say that we're not going to do anything because we might lose or we hope next time to get 526 on, it's our job as public officials not to take our marbles and get home. I realize what I voted on today is not the final projection. It'll go out to the public and it'll come back to us. And it is our responsibility to put the best thing we can do for the whole county together. And I look forward to that. We haven't reached that. And Mr. Darby was right. We did have, he and I wanted very much to have it bifurcated on the vote. So that's something that will be, you know, worthy of looking into, because we fought for that then to give people a choice. But to do nothing is not an option. So I look forward to the public input and it coming back. But and I also like to add that it's demagoguery to say that what I'm for is for the people and what somebody else wants is the special interest or interest groups. I don't see in any way wanting to preserve our rural land and keep what we love about us is special interest. That's across the county, and every day, like I said many times, enough is enough when we lose what we love about living here. And I'll never stop fighting for that. And I've seen the change, and I think we hired consultants. They came back to us, so I look forward to what they hear when they go out with this. But revisionist history and trying to erase what happened, falsify the results or why people were against it, and assault people from any geographic area is not going to help us. We're all in this together, and I would hope we look at the county as a whole beyond their own districts to say that not everybody's going to get what they want, but we have, you know, to protect and do the best job we can, and we haven't reached that point yet. And I look forward to, hopefully we can reach a consensus after we hear back. Thank you.
Ms. Honeycutt.
I'm going to try to keep it positive. I think you're right, Mr. Borowski. Demagoguery isn't the word I use, but it's virtue signaling. Whenever we get up here and we start debates and it becomes this virtue signaling, what I'm doing is better, and you know, that's not about what we're talking about here. I'm the only one up here who sat there and looked at the numbers and proposed actual numbers out of this. Has everybody done their homework on this up here? I mean, that's what I want to know. I've looked at these numbers very closely. I've seen discrepancies. I've talked to people. Prognostication? Are you joking? I don't need to be preached at or pontificated to because of the position that I take on this. I think we're making a huge mistake undercutting the Greenbelt program. We are. We saw it before. We're going to see it again. You can say you wanted it 10%. You can say you want less. We are making a huge mistake. I think our public polling results are going to show that, even before this, as it comes back to the public. And so I would encourage my council members to get off their high horse and to try to come together to some consensus, because right now we are divided. It shows, and the public is going to be disgusted if we can't come together. Thank you.
Mr. Tootin.
Not a word, sir.
Ms. Salisbury. Y'all want to talk at once. Ms. Ham.
Smart move.
Let's find a way to wrap all this up or tie it up. You know, I've worked very hard to tell the public and speak to the public and listen to the public that this needs to be their referendum. They need to write this referendum, and they do that by participating in our surveys, and that's the only way we can hear from you. Or come speak to our public comments, write your emails. It doesn't matter what any of us up here think if you, the public, won't support it. We're just wasting our time and wasting your time, frankly. When we go all this effort to find out what they want, when we get the surveys back for this 30-day input, I expect this council to abide by the wishes of the public and support the wishes of the public. I don't know what they're going to be, but if we put something out there contrary to what the public supports, we're going to wind up in 2024 again, and it'd be an exercise in futility. We have to regain trust, and you don't do that overnight, but you do it by your actions, and they wanted transparency. Well, this is what transparency looks like, and it ain't pretty, but it is transparent. I share Ms. Honeycutt's passion for the Greenbelt, and I have seen a tremendous amount of support for Greenbelt initiatives. I would hazard to guess if this thing was split in 3 pieces, the Greenbelt portion might win, and the other 2 might fall off. Just food for thought. So I am going to listen to what the public has to say. I'm reserving any comments, support, or otherwise until such time that we get that feedback back. And I've talked to Mr. Moody down there. I'm not going to send this referendum to a death sentence. If the people don't want what we're selling, I'm not giving it to them. And I'll be a no for the referendum. So all I ask is that I want whatever we agree upon, the body of all 9 of us, that it reflects what we put all the work into, what staff's put the work into, to listen to our constituents and give them a referendum they can be proud of and they can support. And that's it, and we're adjourned.
Ms. Honeycutt Mayor tonight.